All right, let's go. All right, here's one we're gonna have. There's philosophical discussion in this one. I know you're busy in there, but you may have to chime in at least once. I know you got your hands full, buddy, with your intern in there. All right, so it's funny how social media posts now become news. Have you noticed that? Where like someone will post about something on social media and suddenly it's picked up by magazines as like people are talking about this.
Yeah.
Well, this is another one of those examples. So this is a segment about what happens when your spouse hates the plastic surgery that you got.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know.
Is this a real person?
I think so, yeah. I think so. You never know these days in the age of AI.
She got that like fake.
Did you think the first picture I
things.
had was real or AI?
That dude?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's AI.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was AI. Yeah. But no, I think this one's real. I got this one up there now. Okay, so this actually comes from a Reddit post, which I've said in the past, I hate Reddit. Of all social media platforms, I hate it the most.
When you put questions into Google, though, like sometimes the third link is like Reddit.
I know, it pops up. I used to be on Reddit a lot back when I was kind of a known gamer, and I just hate the whole culture. It's like so toxic. So I really don't like Reddit, but
me either.
Huh?
I said me either.
I know. Anti-Reddit. Trey, do you like Reddit? Just nod, yes or no. You like Reddit?
I'm not a big fan. I use it sometimes. But
I use it sometimes too. It's like sometimes you have to use it to get certain information, and it's just anyway. Okay, so there was this post that's gone super viral on the internet. I've seen it now multiple times. First I saw it, I was like, oh, okay, but then I kept seeing it. I was like, all right, we'll do a segment on this. So throw the post up and leave it up for a minute, Trey, because I'm going to kind of talk about it. So this is from the Reddit subreddit called AITA, Am I the Asshole, where people will write some scenario that happened to them, and then they ask if like they're the bad guy, right?
Yeah.
And so
that's actually what I use it for.
Oh, is that what you?
Yeah, for like subjects for my other show.
Oh, do you? Okay, so Trey, hey, great minds think alike, Trey, right? All right.
I've never used it for that.
So the summary of this is this guy writes in saying his wife wanted to get plastic surgery. He was totally against it. She's like, I'm going to do this anyway. Apparently got some liposuction of the face, which I don't know if that means buccal fat removal or what, because lipo of the face is not common. She got a neck lift. She got a bunch of fillers. So she comes out of the surgery, and this guy does not like the way that she looks. Mm-hmm. He's like, Do
we get pictures?
No, there's no picture.
Dang.
Yeah, that'd be cool if there were pictures. So, and he even said that he got the uncanny valley vibes. Have you heard of the uncanny valley? It's like basically this like phenomenon where if somebody looks a little bit off, it makes someone else think they look a little bit revolting. It was used initially for when they were trying to make robots look like people, or even AI look human before it got really good. And it looked, remember like the
creepy.
eye, or like the six fingers. So that's kind of uncanny valley, where it looks like a little bit off, and it kind of creeps you out.
Yeah,
so,
okay, I got that.
So he didn't want to tell her, right? So he didn't want to tell his wife that basically he's just not attracted to the way she looks. But also she knew something was going on, because, you know, she would be like, oh, you know, want to be intimate or whatever. And he's just like, man, I need to turn off the lights. Like literally just said that. And so she eventually she eventually confronts the guy, and it's like, are you having an affair? Like, what's going on? And so at that point he has to say, look, I don't know how to tell you this. I still love you, but I am just not attracted to the way you look. Well, of course, that went over like a lead balloon.
Yeah,
and
I
then,
don't like your face.
And yeah, right. I don't like the way your face looks. So then there's like this big throwdown, and she like moves out, and I don't know if they're going to get a divorce. And at the very end, he said she looks like the alien from Fifth Element. Yeah.
What's the alien from Fifth Element look like?
She's like blue, and she looks like an alien, kind of like Madonna if she was blue.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. So is this a common occurrence? Does this happen where someone goes and gets plastic surgery and then their spouse really doesn't like it, or it causes some friction? And so, you know, like anecdotally, meaning me talking to patients over the years, when I've had patients come in for revision work, meaning they went and got work done somewhere else, mm-hmm. and something either went wrong or they didn't like it, I've had people mention, oh yeah, my spouse won't look at me the same way, you know? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I know that's just an example of me in my own practice, but yeah, my experience does correlate with this. And so, you know, me being the nerdy research guy that I am, I tried to pull up some research papers on this to see, you know, is there any data out there about how many spouses don't like what their significant other looks like after they get plastic surgery?
I imagine there's a lot, but I feel like
there's really not. Like, there's a lot of data on the person liking it, Like if you go have plastic surgery, do you like it? But there's not a lot of data about if you go have plastic surgery, does your spouse like it? I found one article that kind of touched upon it when it was looking at some other things, and it stated that the rate of spouses not liking the look of their significant other after plastic surgery to be as high as 25%, which that's pretty high. And that was a small study, so I'm not going to say that that's the actual real number. But it does show, based on that Reddit post and my personal experience and in this one research article, that this is a thing that is a possibility, and really nobody ever talks about it. So we got.
I feel like it's a personal decision, for yourself. But then at the same time, if you've been married for a long time, and it's like, I feel like that's definitely a decision you should make together.
Perfect, Sarah. That's exactly
on your face.
That's the first thing that I was going to actually talk about. You're absolutely right. So, in the little Reddit post, it said that she said she wanted to get surgery and he was against it. He's like, don't do this. But she did it anyway, and so it's a tough situation, right? Because I think that people should be able to do what they want, but when you are married, there are repercussions for doing things that your spouse may not agree with.
She shouldn't have been. Hopefully, she's not surprised by his reaction to all of it.
I think she is surprised based on how the thing played out. Like I think she was a little taken aback.
But I mean, she shouldn't be surprised though.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think this is really a controversial one because I do agree. Like something major, like changing your appearance, probably.
It's like if you came home with the most the same jawline as Zac Efron right now.
Right, yeah.
And your wife would be like, who do you think you are, dude?
Yeah, I don't know.
What is this?
I'll have to ask my wife what she would say about that. But yeah, I think this is a tough one because, again, I think people should be able to do what they want, but in a marriage, when you do stuff, it affects your partner, right?
Did you ever hear of that story? It was this Indian family. They're from India or something, and they're very rich. This guy was really, really rich. And the woman he married had all of this work done before they met. And all of their children were not cute.
Right, I did hear about that. I don't know if that's
off, man.
What do they call it, urban myth, or if that really happened.
I just remember seeing that story and the picture of this they looked like they were just this royal Indian
Ken and Barbie,
family.
And then the kids come out and they look,
all wonky.
Not so much,
Yeah, and he got so mad.
I have heard of that. Yeah, I did hear about that. I'm actually going to look that up because I've heard that not more than once. Okay, so yeah, that's a tough one. I do think that spouses. As a plastic surgeon, if I had a couple come in and the wife's like, I want to do this, and the guy's like, I think this is a bad idea. I mean, I would absolutely pause and be like,
or
okay,
reach a compromise.
I'd be like, you guys really need to sort this out because the last thing I want is for someone to go through surgery and then it creates hardship for them, say in a relationship.
After you get a surgery, you're supposed to feel good about yourself.
Right, exactly. So if I got that vibe that the husband and the wife were totally on opposite ends of this, I would at least pause and be like, hey, I think you guys should talk about this, before you move forward. Okay, attraction versus love. This is kind of a side note. He said he still loves her, but he's just not attracted to her. That's not an uncommon theme in marriages, though. How many times do people that have been married a long time change and then suddenly
you see them like a roommate or something more so than
or just as people get older, maybe they gain weight or whatever, and suddenly they're not as attracted to them as they were. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
I think that that yes, it can be stressful to a marriage, and so I can totally see that. But it's not something that's crazy. It's not specific to plastic surgery, right? It's not only when people get plastic surgery, suddenly they think that they're not attracted to their spouse. And that literally happens all the time.
Yeah.
Obviously do your best to avoid it if you can. Communication breakdown. So he avoided telling her the truth. That's another one. What would you do? Say your significant other goes out and gets some surgery done and you hate it. Do you tell him?
I don't know.
I don't know either, right? I don't know. What's the right thing? That's a tough one.
This is a funny story. I went shopping with Cody, and he was picking something out. And he's like, "What do you think?" I said, "That's something to buy." You know?
Something to buy.
That's a way to wear that.
Something like that,
you
I'm
know?
actually pretty honest with.
You can't
and
say it.
I think my wife sometimes gets annoyed at my honesty because
Yeah.
she'll like show me something. I'm like, yeah, I hate it. Like, this is terrible. Don't ever wear that again. Or
Yeah.
I'll like, give her grief about it. But I don't know, at least like I'm honest about it. But I guess when it's like your appearance, like your physical appearance, I mean, that's a harder one to kind of juggle.
It's very hard.
Right. Yeah. That's about all I had to say about that. I thought there was one more. I thought there was another segment, but that's it.
One more banger.
But yeah, I mean, it's a tough situation, and I don't think a lot of people talk about this. And I just think that it needs to be on the radar of people that are considering plastic surgery. I think it's important that, if you are married, that your spouse is supporting you. And if your spouse is saying, absolutely don't do this, then I think you should take note. And you should probably hash that out before you go and get plastic surgery.
I can see both sides. Like,
yeah, I can too.
He married somebody who looked a certain way.
Right.
And then now she's changed what she looks like, and to him it's creepy looking.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it, and it's just a very gray situation because, again, you want people to be able to do what they want with their lives.
It doesn't even sound. It just sounds like he's like creeped out by her. Not
he's
so
kind of
much
freaked
like.
out. Yeah, he's not. It's not just he's not attracted. He's like repulsed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bad stuff. All right, Trey, I'm going to recap this one. So today we were talking about one of the unspoken risks of plastic surgery, something nobody talks about, and it is, what if you have plastic surgery and your spouse or your significant other hates it and they no longer find you attractive? Oddly enough, this does happen from time to time, and no one really thinks about this. It actually came from all places, the bottom of the internet, Reddit, a Reddit post about some person that was asking if they were the asshole because they were no longer attracted to their spouse that had a bunch of plastic surgery. And we were discussing that this is a very gray area because obviously we think that people should be able to do what they want with their own bodies, but when you're in a marriage, it's kind of a partnership, and changing your whole appearance is kind of a big deal. And it seems like in this one particular instance of this poor person on Reddit, that it went very badly. And so I looked into the data on this. There's not a whole lot of research on what happens or how often does a spouse not like someone's plastic surgery. One research paper said it could be as high as 25%. Wasn't a great paper, so I don't know if I think that's really the true number. In my own practice, I have seen it when people come in for vision work where someone tells me that their spouse just really didn't find them attractive after they had some work done. So again, this is something no one really talks about. It's the unspoken risk of plastic surgery. My only kind of thought on this is if you are going to have plastic surgery and you're married or have a significant other, it's a really, really good idea if you guys are on the same page. And if they have really big, concerns about you doing it, then you probably need to hash that out before you have surgery. So, good one, man. I feel like that was a good recap. It may have been
That was a public service announcement.
That was a good public service announcement.